you finished adjusting your last patient of the day, you're exhausted, somebody says like, what's the goal? And you just like lead with charisma, and you're basically making 6-figure to 7-figure decisions, exhausted with zero data. And that's not a planning meeting, that's a wish. Attention chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse, and protectors of the developing brain. Welcome to the Cranial Doc Podcast, where we master the work that actually changes lives. Craniopathy, nervous system-based care, and the business systems that let you scale without selling your soul. I'm Dr. Anthony Pellegrino, pediatric chiropractor, certified craniopath, and proud automation geek. Let's dive in. What's up there, subluxation slayers? Today, we're ending out the day of this recording, quarter one, and that means that my quarterly board meeting is coming up. Helps me reflect on where I was at a year ago and where you might be at, and I hope that you are doing a quarterly board meeting, vision casting, or something else. But what's funny about these planning meetings that I see in most chiropractic offices is that we sit down, we open up a whiteboard, and somebody is like, okay, what's the goal for this quarter? And without missing a beat, someone is just like looking at a single visit or a single number, and they're like, you know what? We're going to hit 400 visits. And I know that's been you. So it's like, why 400? Well, I don't know, because right now we're 320 and the next goal is 400. Okay. Well, how are we going to get there? Well, we're just going to work really hard. And this is so funny because the number's just pulled out of anywhere. It's non-specific. So many of you, if you're listening to this podcast, are super specific and militant about your adjusting with your patient. Yet when it comes to actually running your practice, you're just rocking a flying 7. You finished adjusting your last patient of the day, you're exhausted, somebody says like, what's the goal? And you just like lead with charisma, and you're basically making 6-figure to 7-figure decisions, exhausted with zero data. And that's not a planning meeting, that's a wish. If you were adjusting a patient like that, I'd say you were just popping and praying. And most of the goals in your office are just that, a prayer. The thing is that nobody calls this out because it feels productive, right? You wrote down your goals, you circled it, you took a picture of the whiteboard, you're doing the things. But if you can't tell me why 400 and you can't tell me how to get there, it's not going to happen. And that's exactly what this episode is about. So before we get into it, stick with me to the end because I actually have something that makes this whole system we're going to talk about almost automatic and will make running numbers in your office way easier and shine some light on some areas that you might not want shined. So hang in. So let's talk about the number that most chiropractors have never calculated. Most of us know our total number of visits. Most of us know our collections. A lot of us know our conversion rate, and if you don't, stop now and get that. No one talks about their churn rate, which is the percentage of active patients that quietly leave or loudly leave every single month. Either they discontinue, they ghost on you, or they just don't sign on to the next phase of care. So many of us are focused on adding things, and because we're wellness-based chiropractors, we refuse to accept that people are going to leave. A percentage of people are going to leave your practice every month. And if you don't plan for that happening or track it, recognize when that number goes up and say, how did that happen? Recognize when that number goes down, less people are leaving and saying, what did we do here? If you're not tracking it, you're throwing stuff away. So let's think about what an active patient actually means. For my office, because there's no paper visits, no one gets adjusted that's not on a care plan, this number is very easy. In the last month, how many individuals got adjusted? If they got adjusted, they are an active patient. If they didn't get adjusted, they are inactive. Everybody is on a care plan. We don't adjust patients who aren't on a plan. That makes it very easy for us. So this is the important part, right? So like, let's say you have 200 active patients. At 200 active patients, depending on how long you've been in practice, if you have 200 and you're really new, you might be at 300 a week. If you have 200 and you are like established, so a lot of people are going once a week or less, you might have, be seeing 250 a week. It doesn't matter, but 200 active patients is great. Practice is healthy. So your goal this month, because we're no longer going to just focus on getting to 400, we're going to throw that out. We're going to say, okay, we want to add 5 new patients. right? We want to have 5 more people get under care. So what if you looked at your numbers and like most of us will be like, okay, cool. I got to add 5 people. So like how many new ones do I need to be able to get to do that? But you probably have anywhere from 5 gold standard number to 10%, still a good wellness practice of your active patients. Let's say 8% that leave and don't come back from 1 month to the next. That's 16 people that are gone every month. So you're focused on adding 5 and forgetting that you're losing 16. So you're not growing, you're losing 11 patients a month. And you have no idea because nobody showed you the math. Your revenue might still go up because you have more people who are coming in and starting care, and maybe you have a bunch of pay in fulls. But if you have a bad month of that, everything goes down because your practice shrank. This is why practices will often feel like they're running on a treadmill. Not because they can't attract new patients, because there's a bucket that has a hole in it, and every bucket has a hole. We got to keep that hole as small as possible. But if we don't know that it's there, we just keep filling it and hoping. So here's the fix. This is the whole picture. This is how we formulate our goals from now on. We're going to start with looking at our revenue per active patient. This is nice and easy. We look at everybody who got adjusted in our office last month. So this is March 25th. So right now, just do it for, you're probably listening to this in April. So do this April. Say, hey, how many people got adjusted in March? Okay. And what was our revenue in March? Let's say it was $40,000 revenue, 200 active patients. That's an average of 200 per patient per month. But Dr. Anthony, my corrective care is $1,000 a month. How does that happen? Well, because not everybody's on corrective care. Some people will pay up front and bring that up. So you have a bunch of people on wellness care. Maybe you're discounting additional people. The thing is that this is your average active patient. Okay? From that is our baseline. We just need to know that we need to know what one active patient in the long run under wellness care overall on average is worth to us. Then we select our annual revenue target. Now, this is not just a number pulled from thin air. It's something that we need to know. So for me, how I view this is I look at my annual growth rate. Let's say it's, 10, 20%, whatever. And I say, okay, what did we do last quarter, the upcoming quarter? Say, okay, what is a 20% growth over that? And then cool, that's my revenue goal. You don't have to do it like that. That's for me as an established patient. Either way, you're going to select a revenue goal. So let's say you want to get from $40,000 a month to $45,000 a month. Okay. We're just keeping these numbers nice and easy. We do this on a quarterly basis, but right now we're just doing it math wise, right? Okay. So $45,000 a month divided by $200 per patient means that we need 225 active patients. So that means that we need a net gain of 25 patients over the time frame of what we want to be able to do, right? Whether it's a quarter or a month, we just need to add 25 people and we will hit our goal. So here is where it gets real. So for the ease and simplicity here for this example, we're just talking about 1 month, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to plan this for the quarter and say, okay, well, I need to add X number total for the quarter. I'm having this many inactives leaving per month. So what's my total for the quarter? And then divide it by 3. Okay. So in this example, we're trying to add 25, but we really need to add 41 because 16 are going to leave. And so we know that we need 41 yeses. We need 41 yeses, 41 new people active face down on the table to grow by $5,000 in the next month in scale. Okay. So then from there, let's say, okay, so 41 yeses, what's our conversion rate? Let's say it's 80%. We don't need 41 report of findings. We need to do 52 report of findings to get 41 people to say yes. Again, from there, that's the number of reports. But the other next thing you have to know is what is your day 1 to day 2 stick rate? Most of us, especially if you've watched some of the consult podcasts and different stuff like that, you're probably connecting with them really well. You're probably having a 1% loss, 2% loss between day 1 to day 2, just somebody getting into your office that wasn't a good fit. And right off the bat, they're like, yo, I don't even want to move forward with a consult because I just want a quick crack, right? And it's just like, okay, that's not the best fit here. And they leave. But overall, there's going to be a small percentage of people that leave between day 1 and day 2. In the interest of ease, let's say we lose 5% there. And then that's even more new patients that we need to do a certain amount of ROFs, to get a certain amount of yeses face down, to be able to have X number more than the people leave. So now, once we know what the actual new patient number is, our job is clear as CEO. It's not just getting new patients, getting more patients. Well, we need to look at and say, I need 52 ROFs this month. So let's say with that churn rate, let's say that's 55 new patients. My job as CEO is what referral system, what events, what team capacity, what follow-up automation, what marketing, what everything that I need to do to get 52 ROFs this month. Who and how do I have to have people accountable to do the things that make that happen? And what numbers are we using to do this? Because if we're basing this off of an 8% churn and it jumps to 10, oh shit, what happened? If we're basing it off of 8% churn and it dropped to 5, now we got cake because we planned on only 16 people leaving, but only 10 left. Boom, that's extra win, right? So this is what this whole thing looks like when it goes wrong. Your practice is growing month over month. New patients are coming in. Revenue felt like it was moving. But every quarter, doc looks at their overall actual net number and it is just flat. We're adding patients, growing, seeing everybody coming in, but the churn creeps up and it just wasn't fast enough to actually grow. When they pulled the churn numbers, they found it, right? And they said, wow, something crept up from 8% to 14% over the last 6 months. What happened? It doubled and nobody caught it. So they were seeing more new patients, but double the people were leaving. So they weren't growing at all. They shrunk. Audited, found that the wrong person was doing the reevaluations, changed that, boom, churn went back down. Revenue moved the next month up, not because they added more patients, because they stopped the leak. So knowing this, tracking the trends over time, that's what math allows us to do. It gets us to stop going from wishing for growth and actually planning for it predictably. Now, something to note is that there comes a point where your practice might have a great churn rate, right? But as your number of patients grows, the number of people that leave, it becomes larger and larger and larger just because it's a percentage of people that are going to leave. So the thing is that because your referrals are kind of unpredictable, yes, you'll have people who are referring into the practice, of course, but there just comes a point where it's like you have your number of new patients. Let's say new patients typically stays flat. Like let's say it's 50. I'm doing 50 every month because of my spend stays the same because of the number of referrals. And like maybe with more referrals, because I have a larger patient base, more reactives, it'll naturally go up to from 52 to 55. If we don't know that and know that our number of new patients has to go up, if we don't increase our marketing, our spend, our activity out in the community, if we just sit on autopilot there will be a time where our number of new patients and our number of inactives matches every single month. Because the whole of the bucket hasn't gotten bigger, but the bucket itself has gotten bigger. And so it's like, wow, I'm doing everything. We have all these patients, we're busted, we're doing this, but like nothing ever grows and we're stagnant. When we hit that point, we need to level up. Like as our practice grows, we need to increase our marketing with the size of our practice. If we continue to market at the same level as we go from 200 active patients to 300 active patients to 500 active patients, if we just continue to spend the same and don't increase that and don't increase our effort out in the community, we will stall and shrink because the number of people leaving, even though the size of the hole is proportional in our bucket, there is more flow out. You need to understand that. You need to run that. You need to know that number. And you as the CEO of your practice owe it to your team and to your community to be able to appropriately plan to hit goals. Most doctors, if you are listening to this, you are going to get hung up and say, wow, I really need to do this math. I have all of my numbers, but I don't have my churn rate. I have no idea how to do this. I don't know how many active patients that I have. So what you should do is first go ahead, and the way that we did this for years was we would download each month. Let's say it's April 1st. I'm going to download a CSV of everybody who got adjusted in my practice in March, and then a CSV export from Chiro HD or from Platinum of everybody who got adjusted in February. Office manager would do this because she knows everybody really well. And what she would do is she would manually go and look and say how many people like got adjusted in February that didn't in March. That's inactive. How many people got adjusted in March but didn't in February? That's a conversion. Let's make sure that matches the number of conversions that we have. And then we would measure and look at the total active patients. And we would I always miss something. Like there would always be a number off. And it got really annoying. So what I did was I created a completely HIPAA compliant tool where all you have to do is upload month 1 CSV, upload a month 2 CSV. And what it will do It will look at it. It will match those names for you. This is all run in your browser. It's not on the cloud, so it's completely compliant. There's no data that's stored. You just have to exit out of your browser afterwards. So we look at month 1 and month 2. It looks at who got adjusted in February but didn't in March. Boom, that's everybody who left or ghosted. So you know who that is. So now you can follow up with them. Okay. How many that, and then we'll calculate your churn rate. How many was our total active patients and how many people got added? What was our net momentum of the practice? And it will do all of that work for you. Okay. So you can see that. You can download the list of everybody who was on your inactive list each month. You can follow up with them, add them to your workflows, everything else like that. If you want, this is a game changer. It will save you hours. Okay. And now you can actually track this data. If you want access to that, the tool is free. You can get it at thecranialdoc.com/churn. To be able to do that, you also need to be on our email list. So I will add you to the email list for getting this tool. If you're already on it, no worries. Anyway, now you're going to bring that number into your next board meeting, vision casting. You're not guessing anymore. You are not flying by the seat of your pants. You have data. Thecranialdoc.com/churn. Go get your number and email me and tell me what you found. Every chiropractor that I talk to wants to grow. They have vision for their life. They have vision for their community. That part is never the problem. The problem is that we are making growth decisions based off of gut feelings and not based off of data. Again, I want to get to 400. Why? Well, it felt right. We got to add 5 patients this month. Okay, but we're losing 16. A revenue goal, sure, but what does that actually take to be able to get there? Export 2 spreadsheets, use one formula, run it every single month. That's the difference between hoping that your practice grows and actually making it do so. Get the tool, do the math, walk into your next meeting confidently, and then do something with it. Subscribe, rate, review, share this with a friend. Let's change your community together. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Cranial Doc podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of today's episode. And if you did, it would mean the world to me if you jumped over to iTunes or your favorite podcast player of choice and subscribed, rated, reviewed, and shared this episode with a friend that you know could benefit. We have a ton of this information and more in our free email series at thecranialdoc.com. So go ahead and jump on there, subscribe, and get me raw, unfiltered in your inbox every week, changing your practice. Can't wait to see you for the next episode.